Well, I'm going to talk. The talk is largely historical. I will talk about the way in which the notion of reason came under attack already in the 18th century, especially with David Hume. And I think most of the subsequent criticisms of the idea descend from empiricism. I'll say a little word about the postmodernist criticisms of the notion of reason, which I take much less seriously than the empiricist ones. And in the end, I will I think the empiricists were right that the identification of reason with a priori reasoning was a mistake. But that doesn't mean that. But Hume himself has a notion of reasonableness, of being reasonable, as opposed to a priori reason. But he has no. But he gives us no usable positive account of this other sense of reason, of what it is to be reasonable. In fact, I think empiricism and postmodernism share a suspicion, an unjustified suspicion, of the very idea of a good reason for something, the idea of judgment. Kant once said that there are no rules for good judgment, because if there were rules for good judgment, you would have to have good judgment to know how to use the rules. But that we need what Kant called mother wit, if that's a feminist equivalent. Yes, Kant said you need mother wit. And I think the notion of mother wit is something that positivism and most postmodernism share a distrust of. And that we need to rehabilitate the notion of a good reason, of being reasonable, without connecting that with certainty or unrevisability or the a priori or any of that baggage. But we cannot throw away the notion of reason or reasonableness. So that's a short summary. I think if perhaps technology is indirectly responsible in the fact that we first of all, we have a oversimplified notion of science. We think that scientists all agree and that that there's something called the scientific method. We don't realize how much judgment, even aesthetic judgment, is needed to be a good scientist. And I think this image of the computer as the best we can do, and that's not in politics, the computer is not a good model for reasoning. Yeah. So that's a sort of short summary of what I will be saying.